And of course, we're coming off of a full slate of college football games. And that's actually where we're going to start this week with what happened last night in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Now, at about 8:15 Eastern, things look pretty good for Bill Belichick and the Tar Heels. You got the pregame hoopla. You had the shots of the celebrities in the boxes, in the stands. You had Lawrence Taylor there. You had Michael Jordan there. You had a bunch of Bill Belichick's expatriate players, Randy Moss, Teddy Bruschi on the ESPN set. It felt like a celebration. And then that celebration continued into the first possession of the game with Tar Heels driving right down the field and going up 7-0 on TCU. And it looked like bright days ahead for UNC and Belichick and Gio Lopez and all those players who came from all of these different places to play for Belichick in Chapel Hill. And then they played the rest of the game. And I think if you look at that third quarter, it doesn't get much worse than that. TCU's first possession, first play, 75-yard touchdown. On their next possession, they convert a 3rd and 20 on a seam route right down the pipe. And then on the play after that, another easy touchdown in the run game, a 28-yard touchdown, untouched. You had a turnover for a touchdown later in the quarter. I mean, that third quarter was bad news bear stuff for the North Carolina Tar Heels. And so what does this mean from an NFL perspective? Well, I'm sure for a lot of people, it's going to be, another piece of evidence that's used in the Brady-Belichick debate because that debate never dies. But from a big picture standpoint, I do think we can look at this and ask some questions about where Bill Belichick's system, his schemes, his program is. Like a lot of the problems that you saw over the last couple of years in New England, scattershot quarterback play. Some of the fundamental issues on defense have cropped right back up at North Carolina. And his ability to turn over a roster, his ability to identify talent. They have 70 new players there. Was that the right thing to do? Or should they have tried to keep some of the guys that were already there, that were part of a bowl team last year at North Carolina in-house and develop them? There are lots of those questions to ask. And that's just from a college football perspective. Now, from an NFL perspective, if we're talking about Bill Belichick going back to the NFL game at some point, this is going to have to turn because a lot of the things that NFL owners were worried about before, which were Bill Belichick coming in and wanting to clean house, Bill Belichick coming in and wanting to bring in his own people at every level of an operation, Bill Belichick's ability to identify players and identify assistants around him, the right people, put the right people around him to build an organization, all that stuff's going to be under the microscope now. And what North Carolina decided when they hired Bill Belichick back in December was, we are going all in on Bill. We are going to let him hire Michael Lombardi. We're going to bring him in with his sons. We are going to let him turn over the roster. Bill, here are the keys. You take this program and you bring it in whatever direction you want to take it. And the result on Monday night did not look good. Now they have Charlotte next. They play UCF in 2 weeks, which that's probably the next toss-up game that they've got. And then the first weekend in October, they've got Clemson. And so I think Bill Belichick's candidacy as an NFL coach over the next couple of years is going to ride on what this looks like, because there were already a lot of teams that were out there looking for coaches over the last couple of hiring cycles that had a lot of big picture questions. And at least on the surface, after 1 week, a lot of those questions seem to be validated. Now, it's a long season. That's one game. North Carolina's got 11 more games to go in the regular season, potential bowl game. I don't know if we could talk about college football playoff, but it's certainly not out of the question after one loss. Seems very unlikely after what we saw, but not out of the question after one loss. Bill's got a lot of runway to change any narrative that's out there, but that looked really bad. And it looked really bad on a lot of different levels. And it validated, again, a lot of the things that you've heard over the last few months about things that are happening inside North Carolina's program. It validated a lot of the questions that NFL teams had about hiring Belichick over the last couple of hiring cycles. And I think, like, whatever happens with Bill over the next 3 months are going to go a long way to determining whether or not he'd ever coach in the NFL again.